Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Wickman. I am on the Ingham County Bar Association Board of Directors. I am hosting today's Deliberations with Judicial Candidate event. Thank you so much for joining us. Very much appreciate it. The Judicial Candidate today is Brandon Waddell. As many of you know, the ICBA is a voluntary organization of lawyers, paralegals, judges, and judicial staff and other staff. We provide educational, informational, and social activities to our membership. Appreciate everyone joining us. Today is an informational event. We are looking to provide information through this Deliberations with Judicial Candidate series to provide our members with opinions with regards to all of the judicial candidates. We don't particularly take a position with regards to any judicial candidate. We're just providing it for informational activities. I appreciate everyone joining me. Without further ado, I will go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Waddell. For questions will be after his introduction. And if you have them, you can either unmute yourself at that time, or you can go ahead and put them in chat or message me privately in chat, and I will go ahead and ask them of the candidate. So without further ado, I will turn it over to the candidate. Thank you so much.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Chris. Again, my name is Brandon Waddell. I am a candidate for the 30th Circuit Court. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Michigan. I went to Cooley here in Lansing after Michigan State. And that's when I moved to Texas. And I was originally licensed in Texas. So I started out my career as an attorney for a small firm doing insurance subrogation for State Farm and Nationwide, and started right away trying cases. And the Texas court structure is a little bit different, but I started trying cases in the JP court and circuit courts, and then I became a prosecutor in Dallas County, where I really honed a lot of my skills. I tried a lot of cases. I started as a misdemeanor prosecutor, and when I was a felony prosecutor when I left. And at that time, my wife and I were expecting our first. We're both from Michigan, so we decided to come back home. And that's where I joined the city attorney's office in Lansing. I was there for several years, and then I moved over to the attorney general's office, where I was in what started as CLE and moved to state ops. And then by the time I left, it was the MDOC division, trying federal cases, 1983 civil rights cases. And I tried a lot of cases in federal court. Now this January, I left the attorney general, and I'm now the litigation manager for the Department of Corrections. So I have quite an array of experience in a lot of different areas. When I was a city attorney, assistant city attorney, I was the manager of the district court. I was the lead legal advisor for the Lansing Police Department. So I've done a lot, and I think that will contribute to success on the bench going forward. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Remember, you can unmute yourself, or you can go ahead and put them in chat or message me privately, and I will ask them for you. I'm not seeing anyone unmute themselves at this time. So I'll ask do you have any plans for the position if you are elected during your first term?
Plans as far as I would like to make sure that I am utilizing the programming that the court has, and even possibly, I think once I get my feet wet, be able to help the great job that they're already doing, because nothing is ever perfect. I used to be in a drug and alcohol court when I was a prosecutor, and I do love utilizing programs like that. I think there's certain circumstances, especially when you're talking about the family law, where I believe that those kind of alternative courts are not they're not the way to go. But I do believe that they have a lot of use so that there's a reduced amount of incarceration for maybe crimes or that should not warrant incarceration. So I think I would just like to continue to promote additional programs. I'm not a funding wizard or anything like that, so I don't know how those programs work. And I think once I was able to get some background knowledge of it, I'd be able to give you even a more extensive answer.
Right. We have a question is, what experience do you have with family law or delinquency?
In family law, my experience related to family is as a prosecutor. I related, I handle at times family, criminal family trials. So assaults and things like that inside the home. Um, Besides that, as far as, divorces or emancipation or things like that, I do not have the experience handling those cases. However, I think having been a person who spoke to victims' families, understand that a lot of times individuals just want to be heard. They want someone to listen to them. They want and someone to help them, someone to get them justice. So I do understand that dynamic, um, and it's a big responsibility, and I accept that responsibility.
Is there an area in the family division that interests you more than others?
Um, I would say the first thing that comes to mind is, I don't know if you mean specifically a subject matter, but if that's what is meant by the question, um, I really have a passion for, and it may sound odd, but I do have a passion for the cases where children have been injured, have been done wrong, because as a father of two very young children, one under 1 years old, I it really does affect me when children are in bad situations, when children are suffering or children are hurt. So I really, really have an internal feeling um, that I would like to be able to do everything that I can, everything in my power to help those individuals, to help the people that can't really help themselves because they're children or whatever reason there may be. Um, so the first one that comes to mind is the child cases, because I would really like to be uh, someone who can stand up for those people that can't stand up for themselves.
Can you explain how the friend of the court works in the 30th Circuit Court?
Specifically, I don't know about the day-to-day inner workings of the friend of the court. My understanding is I would relate it to as a prosecutor, I worked with a probation officer that was kind of assigned to the court, and I kind of make that relation. When you have a case in which minor children are involved, you need another entity there to make sure that those children are taken care of, and whatever the judge has sentenced, or whatever program that an individual may have to go through, or a series of programs to allow someone back into a home or something like that. They kind of help facilitate that process and make sure everything goes smoothly. And ultimately, their number one goal is to make sure that those minor children are safe and taken care of.
If you have an opportunity to move to General Trial Division, would that be your intent?
I don't intend to. I don't go in saying I will. I hope to move. I understand whatever the chief judge decides, or whoever else makes that decision. I would be okay with that decision. I do have an extensive criminal background, and like I said, I've tried a lot of criminal cases, a lot of civil cases. So I think I would feel comfortable in it. I don't go into it saying I hope one day I move to criminal, but if that happens, I would openly accept it.
Are there further questions at this time? Remember, you can either unmute yourself or you can message in the chat or message me privately if you have any other questions. I'm not seeing others. I will ask one final question to see if anyone else has questions. Is how do you think that this job would be different than your prior experience as largely a litigator versus?
Yeah, I think you broke up a little bit at the end, but I think I heard your question. How it would differ from my previous jobs, basically.
Correct. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Well, it would differ greatly from my current position. I'm the litigation manager for MDOC. So although it's very, very busy, very large, we have a lot of cases here. Since January, when I left the Attorney General's office, I'm no longer actually counsel of these cases. I'm kind of the client now. But I believe it would be kind of a culmination of everything that I've done. I think I have, every one of the candidates for this seat legally have the experience, have to be able to do the job. And we're all lawyers, and we can learn, and we continue to learn every day. But I believe that the diversity of my experience is what would give me a heads up. I've practiced insurance, criminal law, all types of criminal law, civil law, federal court, state court in 2 different states. So I've observed lawyers and judges along the way. And I think at least the way I learn is by observing people. And I've been able to observe a lot of people, and I've been very successful myself working this way. So I think it would just be a culmination of all the career experiences that I've had. And I'd be able to be fair and informative. I believe one of the most important things is making sure that citizens understand what they're encountering, what's going on when they step foot into a courtroom, because the layperson doesn't spend much time in the courtroom, and they're often afraid and they're confused. And I believe a part of the judge's job is to kind of try to ease a little bit of that. So I guess that's how I would answer that.
Does anyone have any further questions? Remember, you can unmute yourself, or you can go ahead and put them in the chat or message me privately. I'm not seeing anything right now. I'll go ahead and give you, as the candidate, the opportunity to have the final word and anything else you'd like to add.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. I thank you for having me. I thank everyone for listening. I apologize if you can see the little flickering of the light. I'm in my makeshift office here in the basement. So it's not ideal conditions, but I just believe that my experience would make me the most diverse choice for this bench. I believe my passion for helping individuals, for educating citizens, for getting justice for citizens, for people who really sometimes feel helpless and can't help themselves. I appreciate you all listening, and I know the Ingham County Bar Association is not an endorsing body, but it is a goal to be accepted, for individuals to feel safe with whoever wins this, and I think that I become a person everyone feel safe with and that can trust, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
And actually, Mr. Nolan unmuted himself and went on video. Mr. Nolan, did you have any questions for the candidate?
No, I'm sorry I'm late here, but yeah, good afternoon. And Brandon, I wish you the best of luck. Sorry I missed the first introduction there, but certainly that is something that is always a challenge. I once heard that, I think it was John Lennon that said that the only way to go to a riot was, or was by a Rolls Royce. He was saying, and I used to always say the only way to go to a judicial seat was by gubernatorial appointment. Then you could do away with all the having to do with the campaigning and the yard signs and everything else. But I know Shannon and Stacia, I think both went by way of getting elected. So how are you doing so far?
Doing well. You know, after the primary, we kind of are starting to ramp things up a little bit more. It's been a long haul, and we got 2 more months to go. So we hope to be able to navigate this COVID campaign cycle as best that we can, and you know, continue to drum up as much support as we can.
Well, if you navigate successfully, you'll be the expert on running a campaign during a crisis.
I don't know about expert, but I'll at least have some knowledge, leg up on some people, I guess.
All right.
So good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. We just had a person show up. I will go ahead and stop the recording at this point. People are welcome, if they would like to socialize over the lunch hour, to stick around. Otherwise, we understand people are busy if they want to take their leave. But thank you so much, Mr. Waddell, for being here. I'm sorry, there was one late question. Are you saying that is he saying he did the primary, is the question?
No, I just meant the primary process is over. Our seat skipped the primary.
Okay. I'm not seeing any further questions, so I will go ahead and pause the recording. People are welcome to stick around and socialize if they'd like. Thank you again so much, Mr.